Hello everyone. So in this lesson, we are going to be studying about rational exponents. Now this is somehow related to what the lesson which you have learned previously. But these are going to be somewhat kind of opposite to what we have done. Okay. So about rational exponents before we start, but let's find out what is the connection between the exponents and these radical exponents. Okay. So we have in the previous videos we have learned how to solve exponents. So you by now you know the values of this is called the exponent and this is called the base. So any number multiplied by the number of exponents gives us the value. So for example, the value of this is going to be 27. How did we get 27? 3 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 3. So 3 to the power of 3 is going to give us 27. Okay, but here we are kind of doing the opposite of what we have done here. Here we are finding 3 multiplied by 3 times gives us what? But here we are going to find which number multiplied by 3 times is going to give us 27. So basically here we are finding the answer, and here we are putting the answer inside the radical sign and then finding which number gives us this many times if we multiply. So you will learn about it later on. Don't get confused now. Once we start solving the examples, you will get the idea very clearly. Okay, but to start with, before we have to see the parts of them, just like how we had this as the base and this as the exponent. So this is called the index. Okay, this number which is written above the sign is called the index. This is called the radical sign. Okay, and this is called, in fact, they are called the roots. These are called exponents and these are called the roots. Okay, this kind of questions are called as roots. So all what you need to remember especially is this name, the index. Okay, because index shows how many times if you multiply the number. So let's move on and see this. This is called the index. This is called the radicand. Okay, and this is called the radical symbol. So this is the root symbol. In easy way, we just call it the root symbol. Okay, so this is the index, this is the radicand, and this is called the radical symbol. Okay, now let's see how do we write these numbers which are in exponents. How do we write exponents? Using the sign, using the radical sign. Okay, now what does this mean? Well, let's see how can we write this 8 to the 1/3 power in the using the radical symbol. Okay, so what happens is here the exponents, the numerator. Now all these, as you can see, all these are in fractions. Okay, always remember that these exponents will be in fraction if we are writing them in radical sign, using the radical sign. Fine. So basically this means you put the root sign. Okay, put the sign and then put the number inside, that is the radicand inside, and then write the denominator of the fraction outside. So basically this means there's a big parenthesis here, and that's to the power of 1. But as these fractions all have power of 1, we are not doing that. So keep in mind, if the fraction, exponential fraction, has 1 as the numerator, only if it has 1 as the numerator, you have to just put the root sign, put the radicand inside, and then write the denominator of the fraction outside. So this becomes our index. The denominator of the fraction becomes our index. Let's see, 25 to the 1/2 power. Okay, now again, it has 1 as the numerator. So just put the sign, that's the root sign, and then write 25 inside. That becomes the radicand. Okay, and then why did I not put this 2 as the index here? Just keep in mind 2 is a special case when we are solving these root questions, because this itself, the symbol itself, the sign itself means to 2. The index is 2. That's why we don't write 2 again. But just for practice, unless you get to know these questions well, yes, you can just put a 2, but then erase it off after you finish solving it. So this case is only if the index is 2. If the index is 2, we are not going to put the 2, but you have to think that because this root itself means 2. So we don't have to put 2 again. All right. Now let's see how do we write this question in using the radicand symbol. So it is put the root sign, put the sign inside, and what becomes the index? The denominator of the fraction becomes the index, so that's 4, and the radicand is 256. This is how you write a question related to these numbers. All right, now let's move on and see how can we solve these questions. So you can see that 81 to the 1/4 power. Okay, 81 to the 1/4 power. So the first step you need to do is write the question properly. Write the question using the root sign. Okay, so first draw the root sign, and then what becomes the index? The denominator of fraction becomes the index, and the number itself goes inside. Now, this is a very easy question. All what we need to understand is which number multiplied by 4 times will give us 81. Now, that's what basically the question is. Which number multiplied by 4 times gives us 81? Now, in exponents, we did this number multiplied by 3 times gives us what? But here, which number? We have to find a number. Multiplied by 4 times gives us 81. Now, as most of you may be good in mental math, you can easily say that it's 3, because 3 multiplied by 4 times will give you 81. But there is a proper way of finding it out, and because you're just learning. So this is the only way you can do without doing any mistakes. That's through the prime factorization. Now, prime factorization you can do in 2 ways, but I have chosen the prime tree way here. This is called the tree method. Okay, so or you can use the ladder method, which is going on dividing. It's basically the same. Now, 81, we are going to prime factorize 81. So what are the prime numbers? We know 2 is a prime number, 3 is a prime number, 5 is a prime number, 7 is a prime number, 11 is a prime number. Now you just have to keep these numbers in mind, because mostly we'll be working with these numbers, prime numbers. And what are prime numbers? They have only 2 factors, 1 and the same number. For example, 2. What makes 2? 1 multiplied 2 makes 2. So 1 and 2 are factors. Is 4 a factor? No, because 1 multiply 4 is 4, 2 multiply 2 is 4. So what are the factors of 4? 1, 2, 4. So it has 3 factors. So prime 4 is not a prime number. So just remember 2 is a prime number, 3, 5, 7, 11, and 13. So those are the prime numbers which mostly we deal with. Okay, so 81 we divide into 2 parts. What gives us 81? 9 multiplied by 9 gives us 81. Now further we can divide 9 again into 2 parts. 3 multiplied by 3 gives us 9. 3 multiplied by 3 gives us 9. So now 3 is a prime number. So stop when you get prime numbers. When you get the prime numbers, just stop there. So what do you think is the answer for this? What is the 4th root of 81? The 4th root of 81 is 3. So we just take one of these factors and write them. We don't, because you multiply 4 factors, you will get 81. 3 multiplied by 3 is 9. 9 multiplied by 3 is 27. 27 multiplied by 3 is 81. So which number multiplied 4 times gives us 81? 3. Right? So this is how you find the answers. All right. So let's go on and check another example. So this question says 8 to the 1/3 power. So all what you need to do first is write down the question properly using the radical sign. Okay, so we put the sign, and then the denominator becomes the index. So we have 3 as the index here, and then we have 8. So okay, so what does this mean? Which number multiplied 3 times gives us 8? That's what the index means. So which number multiplied by 3 times gives us 8? So basically we all know that this 2 multiplied 3 times gives us 8. 2 multiplied 2 gives us 8. But of course there is a proper way of doing it. So let's do the prime factorization for 8. So you can divide 8 into 2, 2 multiplied by 4. Right? So 2 multiplied by 4. Now 2 is an prime number, 2 is a prime number, so just leave this 2 alone. But 4 is not a prime number, so we again divide 4 into 2 parts. That's 2 multiplied by 2. So this is how you have to write the prime factorization. 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2. See, 1, 2, 3. So we have 3 2's, right? So which means which number multiplied 3 times gives us 8? 2. You will not write here 2 and 2 and 2, 8. No. Does 8 multiplied by 3 give 8 multiplied 3 times gives you 8? No. 2 multiplied by 3 times gives you 8. Means 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 has to give you 8. So the third, that is the cube root. Now we call this as the cube root. If there is a 3 as the index, we call it the cube root. So the cube root of 8 is going to be 2. All right, let's see one more example. Now, yes, this is a bigger number, but it's easy. Now, the question says 256 to the 1/4 power. So first, write down the question, put the root sign, and what will be the index? The index will be 4, right? The denominator is 4, so the index will be 4. Now, which number multiplied 4 times will give us 256? It's not an easy number to think, but yes, if you're very good in mental math, you can easily find out that it's 4. But let's find out by using the steps, how can we get the answer? Which number multiplied 4 times will give us 256. Okay, so 256, do the prime factorization. 4 multiplied by 64 will give you 256. Now there are other numbers also which you can choose, but I have chosen 4 multiplied by 64. Okay, so then 4, you have to, 4 is not a prime number, so you have to again divide it. You have to keep dividing until you get a prime number. Okay, so 2 multiplied 2 gives us 4. So that's the end of this 2, because 2 are prime numbers, so stop that here. You don't need to further divide it. But here 64, what gives us 64? 8 and 8 gives us 64. Now, 8 is 8 a prime number? No, so we have to divide it again. So 2 4s gives you 8. Same as that, 2 4s gives you 8. Now 2 is a prime number, so you stop there. But 4 is not a prime number, so you have to divide it again. So 2 multiply 2 will give you 4. Similarly here also it's the same. Now how many 2's, how many prime numbers did we get finally? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have got 8 2's. So let's write them down here. 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2. All the 2's, 8 2's which we got, we are going to write them down. But the index for us is 4. It is not 8. If it was 8, the index was 8, we could simply write here 2. But here the index is 4, means which number multiplied by 4 times will give us 256. Now just imagine if you write 2. 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2, is that going to give you 256? Of course not. So what we are going to do is we are going to group them together. We have to make 4 groups from these numbers, because we need a number to multiply 4 times. So we are going to group these numbers. So group means in one group there will be 2 2's. So 2 multiplied 2 is going to give you 4. So 4, 4, 4, 4. How many 4's did we have now? 4 4's. So that means 4. The fourth root of 256 is 4, which means you multiply 4 4 times, your answer will be 256. I know it's a bit confusing, but it's not. Once you start doing it, it'll be easy for you. All what you need to do is find how many times you need to multiply the number. So once you find out the index, that's how many times. So we have 4 times we are multiplying. So 4 multiplied 4 times will give you 256. Okay, let's move on to another set of questions. Now, all the questions which we were seeing were having the exponent and the numerator exponent as the numerator of 1, right? In the fractional exponents, we had the numerator as 1. But here, as you can see, they are quite different. We have 5 and 3. What are we going to do when you have such questions? You will do nothing but do the same thing which you did previously. First, write down the question. Now, a bit different, you will have to write down the question. As you know, we have the numerator as 5. We have a number in the numerator, not 1. right? If you have 1, you don't need to do this. But if you have a number other than 1, you have to write the question inside the parenthesis. Now just think, if there was 1 here, how are you going to write the question? Just you will put the root sign, put 81 inside and write the index. But because there is a number in the numerator, just one more thing you have to do. Draw the parenthesis around it and put the numerator outside as an exponent. All right. Now the steps remain the same. You have to find the fourth root of 81, which means which number multiplied by 81 will give you, which number multiplied 4 times will give you 81. So you will do the same prime factorization method. If you want to try, you can pause the video here and find out first what's the fourth root of 81. Draw the prime tree and then find out the which number multiplied 4 times gives us 81. Well, if you want to do, you can pause the video here and do it. Fine. So the fourth root of 81 is 3. Okay, that is 3 multiplied 4 times will give us 81. Also, now what do we do with this 5? It acts like an exponent. Okay, so we are just going to multiply 3 5 times. So 3 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 3 will give you 243. That's all. Just one more extra step added to what you did. All this time we were just looking at how to only solve this part, right? Now after finding that out, you just multiply it with the exponent. Do not do 3 multiply 5. That's the biggest mistake students do. Always remember, exponent means you have to keep multiplying the same base number 5 times. So you will get 243. Okay, let's move on to another question. Okay, so the question is 16 to the 3/4 power. Now again, the numerator doesn't have 1, right? So that means we have to rewrite the question. Just think that there's a 1 here, okay? And write the question first. Put the root, the denominator becomes the index, put the number inside, that's the radical, okay? So, and then close the parenthesis. Then don't forget the numerator. So you write it as an exponent for the whole number. That's all, just extra step, one more. Okay, now what is the first step you're going to do? You are going to find what is the fourth root of 16. Which number multiplied by 4 times gives us 16? What do you think? Which number multiplied 4 times gives us 16? It's very easy. If you do the prime factor tree, it's easy. Else you can do it mentally too. So it's going to be 2. 2 multiplied 4 times will give us 16. Means 2 multiplied 2 will give you 4. 4 multiplied 2 will give you 8. 8 multiplied 2 will give you 16. So the fourth root of 16 is 2. These are basic numbers which you have to keep in mind so that you will not waste your time every time drawing the prime tree. The fourth root of 16 is 2. Now, is that all? No, because we have 3 as the exponent here. We are going to multiply that, which means 2 to the power of 3. Or the third, 2. So 2 multiplied 2 is going to give you 8. This is how you solve these questions where the numerator also has a value. All right, now moving on. Okay, this is basically algebraic form definition of this. Don't get confused with all this. Okay, now let's move on and find how do we add these numbers, or how do we solve these questions where we are going to add. Don't worry, it's nothing, just that you need to do them separately. For example, you have to find the fifth root of 32. So first let me write that in a proper way. Okay, because now the numerators are 1, you don't need to worry, you just write the root, the 5 as the index, and 32. And then here we have the square root of 9, because the root and 9, as I told you, we don't write 2. You have to remember that it is a 2 there, because this symbol itself means it's a square root. We call those square roots. Okay, now which number multiplied 5 times is going to give me 32? By now you must be very familiar. Which number multiplied 5 times gives me 32? It's 2. If you multiply 2 5 times, that will give you 2. Okay, or you can draw the prime tree and find it out. No problem in that. And which number multiplied 2 times will give me 9? Of course 3, because 3 multiplied 3 is 9. So you solve this. So the fifth root of 32 is 2. and the square root of 9 is 3. Just add them. 2 plus 3 is 5. If there was a minus sign, you will subtract it. Because this is plus sign, you will add that. So 2 plus 3 is 5. Only we are just finding the value of this number as well as this one, and then we are adding it. That's all. Okay, so hopefully this lesson is easy. As you know, I always say you can never learn anything without practicing. The more you practice, the more you will learn. Just by looking or watching at a video, you will never learn anything. Rather, you take your own interest, take the book and your pen, and then start solving some questions, and then until you start questioning yourself, how did this come, how can I do this, you will never be able to learn anything new. So once you have watched the video, please take some time. 10 minutes is more than enough to learn something new, 10 to 15 minutes. Take some questions, or you can even repeat the same questions which I have discussed in the video. Just take the questions, then you can pause the video there and then see the steps what we have done. So that's how you learn something new. So keep practicing, keep learning, because every day is a new day. We can learn every day something new. So until we meet again in the next video, do subscribe and like the video. And if there is anyone who, your friend or anyone who can take use of this video, who is learning these same lessons as you, or who needs explanation of these basic things that you are learning, do ask them to watch those videos too. We can do each other these small kinds of helps, right? Small helps matter a lot. So you can just help them by saying that watch the video, they will get the idea. Fine. So until we meet next time, keep practicing.